Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. The worldwide phenomenon known as Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, which is the longest running show in Broadway history, is back dazzling audiences at the Majestic Theater. And I'm here with the latest Christine, Meghan Picerno. Welcome.
Hi.
How does it feel to be back at the Majestic Theater doing what you do best?
You know, it's still surreal. It's almost like we're in a dream. Like, are we really doing this? But it's also wonderful, and we're all in our element. We're back home. We're back with our family, and it's just wonderful to be back with audiences as well.
Is it exciting? I mean, have you been able to put the past 2 years into perspective? Because you all shut down, then all of a sudden there was nothing.
Honestly, I don't think I've unpacked that 2022 is in 1 month. I don't think
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. I mean, honestly, actually, 2020, I was there on CNN with Phantom, actually, for the ball drop, thinking it was going to be the best year ever, and then, oh, surprise. So it hasn't hit me that 2 years have gone by. I mean, it has, but it hasn't, if that makes sense. But here we are, and what a return. What a return. So epic and historic. So.
Oh, we have to talk about that because the Phantom return to Broadway was historic. Like closing of the block, everybody arriving. I mean, that was an amazing night.
Yes, DJ Lloyd Webber. Oh my gosh, our boss is the coolest. Yeah. So, yeah.
So what was that first performance like back on stage that night with everybody there?
It was electric. It was magic. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime memories that I'm going to have forever. I mean, how many people can say they reopened Phantom of the Opera? None, except us. Yeah. And also, it was pretty existential, actually. It was so much bigger than just us coming back to stage. It meant so much more, and you could really feel the energy. I mean, I remember we were all in our dressing rooms, and over the loudspeaker, everything, it was just like, it was like we were at a football game. Like it was wonderful, and it was magic. It was magic.
Do you remember the whole entire evening on stage, or is it a blur?
It was kind of a blur. I do remember strangely being excited but calm, which I was surprised by. I thought I would be really nervous, but actually, again, the wonderful, beautiful energy that on stage and also in the audience we had, you just drew from it, and it was such a human experience that it was so cathartic. It was so, I mean, if anyone saw it, I was bawling my eyes out, ugly crying at the end, because it just meant so much. So it was kind of a blur, in a good way though. Yeah. Not in like I made my Broadway debut and I don't know what's going on. It's more just like, wow, I can't believe we're actually doing this. Finally, we're back. And as people have said too, when Phantom's back, it really represents Broadway's back. So we're back.
Well, it was so great, though, because I walked by the Majestic Theater. There's lines out the door again for people to buy tickets. I mean, people are so exciting to turn that corner and go to the Majestic.
Yeah.
Do you remember, you made your Broadway debut as Christine in Phantom of the Opera back in, is it 2019?
Oh my gosh.
We think it's 2019. No, it's 2019.
What is time?
What is time, exactly? Because like you were saying, these 2 years flew by so fast.
They did.
And they should have creeped by.
Well, it seemed to me day to day, they were the slowest days. But in general, I mean, here we are. I'm like, December, wait, it's Christmas time again? Like, here we are.
We're going to have a really fabulous Christmas this year, especially at Phantom.
Yes. Well, and I think that's the other thing. Now that we have been all collectively going through this really intense, traumatic time, there's something extra special about each day that we spend together. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's really true. You really cherish each moment with each other. So this Christmas is also, and holidays, not just Christmas, but this holiday season is also that much more, because you get to connect with people, you get to be with each other and make art again live. Yeah. So.
Okay, we started to talk about Broadway debuts. You made your Broadway debut as Christine. Do you remember anything about that night?
Now that one's a little bit blurrier, because all I remember, because that was the first time I had done it. I mean, I've been Christine for now. It's been a while now. I've been Christine for a while. But to do it on the Broadway stage, all I remember, there was a few things I remember, because we had an orchestra rehearsal that day. Because unlike opening now, I had a put-in, which I had never done before, which, silly me, I thought, everyone's in costume in the orchestra. No. The first time I was ever with Ben was that night. They didn't use the smoke until that night. So I just remember, because I came from the world tour, too, it was just different enough where I was like, So I just remember running around. The one thing I remember is, well, there's two things. One, running through the basement of the Majestic and making it for All I Ask of You, because we didn't do that on tour, obviously, because there's no basement on tour. Sure. So I remember being so proud of myself that I was like, yes, I made it in time, but I was so out of breath that I was like, Ralph, and I could barely get through that. And then the second thing I remember is during my bow, I mid-hop was like, Meghan, are you hopping in your Broadway debut bow? And I was like, I sure am hopping. And then I was like, well, there's that. So those are the two things I randomly remember, and everything else, no idea.
Totally, but you got through the show.
I did.
Because you were there to hop through your curtain call.
I was there to hop. So that one was hopping. This one was crying. So,
You run the gamut of emotions.
Literally have. Like, it's all across the board. So
Okay. We have to talk about your Phantom. I love Ben Crawford.
So fantastic. I really have to say, I might be biased, but the trio, Ben and John and I, there is such...
John Riddle.
Oh, John Riddle. Yes, John Riddle. You guys don't know, but there's something extra special about this trio. The connection that we have to each other and the chemistry, at least I know I feel it on stage. And there's something animal, primal, very sensual and modern about us, and I love that. I feel also being on stage with the two of them, there's this unending amount of trust where you can really explore. It's not just a 2D version of Phantom. There's something, yes, everything's heightened and it's melodramatic, but there's something extra real about being on stage with the two of them. And I don't think you're going to see a cast like this ever again. And part of it is, and returning with the two of them. We've all now gone through so much that none of us are the same. And I think now, I know for me, I understand the Phantom better. I understand Christine better. I mean, wouldn't you go through that mirror after being in a pandemic for 2 years?
Oh, totally.
I would. But also the adventure, the heartbreak, the abandonment, the isolation, all of us feel that. And I think the stakes are so much higher now because of the pandemic. But I absolutely love Ben and John. They are just consummate artists, and I love playing with them every single day.
I love that, modern and primal. Yeah. That's exciting.
Oh, it is. I'm a Scorpio, so I love that.
All right, being back in your dressing room, I mean, the first day you unlocked your dressing room, I mean, what was that feeling like? That was your home, and it is your home.
It was also surreal. I need a better word than surreal, but it was like a time capsule because everything was just the same. Well, that was the other thing too. I remember, I'm a crier, but I knew that I was going to be emotional coming back to the theater. But going to Starbucks on my way to the theater, like my Starbucks that I go the whole way crying, costuming, crying, in my dressing room, crying, more sobbing, like looking at my pictures, some of the photos had fallen down from the wall. It was crazy. It's literally just like everything stopped because it did. And and then nesting and making it a home again. It was, again, once in a lifetime experience. What a crazy time.
Yeah. Well, what's also great about your show is so many people come back to see Phantom over and over and over, and it's like they're experiencing it for the very first time. Every time you see a new Christine or a new Phantom, I mean, that's going to be so exciting. I know you can't meet the fans now, but before you could, I mean, just how incredible are the Phantom fans?
Oh my gosh, the fandom. You guys are amazing. Like, literally, I have never experienced such a thing. I first experienced it with Love Never Dies, and then literally around the world. And now here, I really am sad that I can't meet them now because they're so wonderful, so giving, so excited. And you're right, it's a generational show, which is amazing because the legacy is not only with the cast, right? You know, passing the crown to the next Christine, Phantom, etc. But it's also the audience members passing it on to their children, introducing them to music theater, to Broadway, to music, singing itself. So it's really wonderful. It's such a responsibility, but also such an honor. And I miss our fans. I'm sad that we have to be safe. So. But eventually, the stage doors will open again one day, and we'll be able to meet them in person one day.
All right, talking about safety, I want you to just tell people the theater is one of the safest places to be right now. I mean, that's why people are coming back. I mean, just talk about the protocol and how safe it is to go to the theater and be in the theater.
Oh my goodness, it is so strict, and it's probably truly one of the safest places you can be. Everyone must be vaccinated. Everyone that's involved in the production, meaning backstage, on stage, front of house, orchestra, everybody is tested twice a week, which is also terrifying. You know, you hope that you're negative. But also everyone is masked. You can see actually from stage, our ushers are kings and queens and very diligent to make sure everyone is in masks, because otherwise you'll see the flashing light from stage, which means get your mask on. But everyone is, and you know what, from the stage you can see everyone has their masks on. So everyone's being very responsible and very safe so that we can start healing together collectively via art. So it's very, very safe. As safe as you can be, right? And let's face it, the only show that was running during the pandemic was Phantom in South Korea at the height of COVID. And I know we're not even close to being done yet, but it can be done. And it is
safely, like we're doing it. That's why I say buy a ticket to the theater, come to Broadway, see something, come see Phantom. Now, we have to talk about Harold Prince. Harold Prince was a dear friend of mine, and I know that's where you got your start primarily with him, was doing Cunegonde in his Candide, right, at New York City Opera. What was it like just being around Hal and working with him? He's
amazing. Yeah. He is. He's not even was. He is, because he's still with us.
Oh, yeah, he's with us.
He's with us, laughing, and he changed my life, truly. I'm from the opera world originally, and when I was cast as Cunegonde, to be honest, I didn't even know what was coming. Like, I had no idea. And I'll always remember he and Pat Birch sitting me down, and she's one of my fairy godmothers, also changed my life. And they were like, Meghan, would you ever do Broadway? And I remember saying, yeah. I mean, it wasn't on my radar, honestly, but now that I'm living it and I've been on this music theater train, I don't want to leave. I love it. I just love it. But he is the legend that everyone knows him as, and he has changed so many lives, including myself. He quickly became a mentor. Also, his family just took me in, and I learned so much. I so sadly and devastatingly just got him right at the end, but what a beautiful moment to be able to have him in my corner, to be one of my biggest cheerleaders. I mean, literally, when I was in the Philippines and Singapore, he would text me and be like, hey, pal, how's it going? And like emojis and like, remember, you know, and just to have that support, it was just so wonderful. And yeah, I really learned a lot. I mean, I remember during Candide, they ran it like a Broadway show, which at the time, I didn't know what that meant. Like 2-show day, what? Like, and he would come in every intermission and be like, okay, so I've got some ideas for the second act. And like, you would just take it, and also working with the incredible cast, you know, Chip Stein, Brooks Ashmanskis, J. Armstrong Jackson, Greg Edelman, Linda Lavin. I mean, the list goes on and on. Again, did not understand at the time the
musical theater world.
Music theater world. I get it now, though, guys. I get it now. Amazing. But they all changed my life, and Hal particularly. So he is literally with me at every step, and I would not be having this incredible career that I have without him, truly. Yeah. So I think about him always. He was there with us on the reopening. Yeah. And that's why Phantom is also so special to me, because it's really with not just my PH family, but with my family. Andrew Lloyd Webber, because of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Hal Prince, I've literally traveled around the entire world and have done some really spectacular, historic things, and it's because of them. And so I can't think of a more special way to have crossed over into this wonderful world that is Broadway, that I am now obsessed with.
Of course you are. Well, you know, I know you did Love Never Dies. Did you do Christine and Phantom first? Okay, so you learned Christine the other way around, right?
I totally Benjamin Buttoned. I think, dare I say, I'm the only one that's done that, actually. I mean, there's a handful of us very special women that have been able to do both, but I kind of prequeled into. So I remember when Kristen Blodgett, also fairy godmother, love, female conductor, by the way, pretty amazing, dare I say. But I remember she and Hal, they were like, well, in the middle of the run for Love Never Dies, they were like, hey, there's going to be a revival of the world tour of Phantom. What do you think, Andrew? Everyone would love for you to reopen it and then transfer to Broadway. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And I can tell you as an actor, what an incredible experience now to fully understand who Christine is. I mean, I really now, especially with the pandemic too, thrown in there and having this extra opportunity to finish my boat ride, as it were, with this, I have the full sphere now. I understand her so much, and I learn every day more about her, but it's really been an awesome journey to get to know her in an absolute, 360 sense. So maybe one day I'll go back to Love Never Dies, and then I'll really understand her, but yeah, it's, wow. Yeah. And considering too that the first time I ever saw Phantom, very embarrassingly, I had to ask if it was okay. I remember years ago that I could even say this, was Hal got me tickets. Because he was like, have you seen Phantom? This is during Candide. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I never have. And I was so embarrassed because of course I saw the movie and I knew of the music, but I never saw it. So he got me tickets. I sat in his box. And that year is when I got into Love Never Dies. So even though I'm late to the game, I feel like I've made up for lost time.
Okay, so you sat in the Hal Prince box.
For my first time to see it, I saw Allie Ewald, who's my Christine, who's now a friend, and that's where my journey began with Phantom. So it's really, I can't ask for anything better. Like I'm so blessed that I get to finish out my run and be entrusted with this historic time, truly, so it's just very special to me.
What's it like singing this score by Andrew Lloyd Webber?
It's just so stunning, and Andrew is such an incredible storyteller, and I extra understand that. He brought me over to London to sing at his birthday party.
I know, you got to sing at his 70th. You had that honor.
I did, I have that honor. And he also had me sing at the Classic Brits at the Royal Albert Hall. That was incredible, like rose petals falling from the seas. I'm telling you, between Hal and Andrew, like, wow, talk about a career shift. But he's such a storyteller, and I realized that even more when I heard all the other incredible artists singing from his plethora of body of work, and all of them are so unique, not just the artists, but the different shows, and they literally can touch people of all sorts. And I think that's what's so special. And I can tell you, actually, by premiering Phantom in Tel Aviv or Kuala Lumpur, these are people that have never seen it live ever, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. His music affects everyone in the same way, and it's just he just understands humans. He understands people, and so to be able to sing that every night for the last almost 5 years has been such a privilege. And I know I'm gonna miss it eventually, but also what a ride, what a journey. It's truly a privilege. He is one of the most epic, historic composers of our time, and to be able to work with him. And that's the other thing too, with Love Never Dies and now the reopening of Phantom, I had, the great privilege of working with him on his works. So what can an artist ask for more? I'm learning from the person, the best.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Our fans are always interested at BroadwayWorld. Since you do, 6 or 8 shows a week, have there been any mishaps during a performance for you? Has something happened to you as Christine in either Love Never Dies or in Phantom somewhere in Tel Aviv or one of these other countries, or something here in New York?
Oh my gosh, let me bring out the book.
There's a book?
Oh, there's a large odyssey of things. I mean, when you do it every night, it's live theater. Things happen. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. I don't even know like what's the funniest one or the craziest one. There's so much. Well,
Here it comes.
actually, last night, embarrassingly, I'm on show, 600, 700, which compared to some people in my cast is literally nothing. I'm a wee babe. But, for anyone, that's a lot of shows. So I have this under my belt. But occasionally, I got a note, because this is the other cool thing, is it's always evolving, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the note in Twisted Every Way. I was thinking about what was coming, which is always a bad thing to do. And I sat there. This literally just happened last night. And it's twisted every way. It's very bare, very raw, very out there. And I went twisted every way. And I started thinking about the note that was coming, like what I was supposed to do. And I forgot the words. I was like, twisted every way, what answer can I give? The reach of other. And like, luckily, John Riddle knows the score by heart, and he like whispered in my ear, and you could just like feel everyone on stage be like, is she? And I just sang in tongues for a while, and then I was like, and we're back on track. Longest 5 seconds of my life. But like whenever things like that happen, I also scatted once on stage. I mean, usually I'm pretty good at like making things. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, I'm usually pretty good at like combining things because I know the intention. I just sometimes bloop. So I remember once though, this was also on Broadway. During the rooftop scene, well, I've been there to his world of unending night. It's very emotional, and she's, and I looked at poor John, he deals with me. I looked at him, and I grabbed his lapels, and I went, ba-da-dee-doo-doo-da-da-da, and I like literally could not remember anything. No words were coming out. I literally was scatting, da-da-dee-doo-doo-da, and then all of a sudden I was like, but his voice filled my spirit. I was fine then, but it was, and I remember David Caddick was conducting, and he was like, were there different words? And I was like, Maestro, there were no words during that time. There were no words, but literally, like, doors opening, boats not finishing,
But that's live theater. That's what, there's a lot that goes on in these shows and a lot that can just happen or go wrong. I mean,
that's the magic of live theater. It's just like a river, right? When you go into a river, you'll never be in the same river, right? Because the river's different, you're different. Same with a show. Yeah. You never, ever, ever will see the same show, the same ever again, because that one moment in time, it's actually quite zen, is not, you cannot recreate it. And if you try, you will fail. So you just have to be in the moment, laugh about it. Luckily, well, there's one other time that I can talk about. There's so many, guys. I was doing, this is kind of, I don't know if I could say it.
Of course you can. It's only for BroadwayWorld. It's only millions of people around the world. That's all.
Well, maybe, all right, we could cut it if it's inappropriate. But
we're cutting nothing.
I was in Past the Point of No Return, and like I said, I'm a Scorpio, and I really get into that moment. I love the sensuality of it, and I got so into it with the Phantom, really getting. I was so turned on that I got up and I was overcome. I was literally like speechless. I was like, I don't know I had nothing to say. So like that moment where she gets up and she's like, oh my gosh, you're the Phantom. Oh no, I literally was like that because I was so hot and bothered that I looked at the conductor and he looked at me and I was like I didn't know what to do. And then it came, but that was method acting, truly hot and bothered. I was so turned on like in that scene.
This is the primal Phantom of the Opera.
That's right.
I love it. So here you've gone from the opera world. You played some of the most incredible opera houses around the world. Now you're starring on Broadway. I mean, Broadway is back. I mean, just what that means to you, like when like you said, you go to your Starbucks, you get your coffee, you walk down, you go to the stage door, you sign in. Like, there's nothing more magical than being back in the theater or being on Broadway. Just tell me what that means to you.
It's I wish I had the right words. It's huge. It's because, like you said too, Broadway isn't just the theater either. It's all the businesses around it. It's the restaurants. It's the transport. It's everything. And so, and also, I'm so proud and honored to be a part of our community. That is artists. What we particularly went through during the pandemic was pretty awful. I really felt like we were sort of shoved aside as a group of people, that we didn't matter, which is so ironic because the very things that were getting people through the pandemic were music, movies, art, talking to each other on Zoom, games. These are all arts, right? And so to have our profession be made literally illegal, not be able to go in, that kind of abandonment, I guess it felt like, literally around the world, was almost inexplicable to me. And yet, despite that, here we are, a group of creatives, and we overcame it. Like everyone, I mean, each group of profession has their own challenges, but artists around the world, I really felt like we really had it hard. And yet, again, I think I really take my job as an artist very seriously, because I might not be a doctor to do brain surgery, but I am here to help people. That's what artists do. We are vessels for human emotions so that people can come to the theater and have an experience where they either escape or they're dealing with emotions that they maybe can't in their real life. And that's why people come. They come to heal. They come to have, you know, a full experience, and that's my job. So I'm really proud of all of us in the Broadway community, particularly because for those of us that could, and not everyone could, and that is valid, we rolled up our sleeves and we created until we could get back on our stages to help not just ourselves and our community, but everyone else. We made music. And so to be back on the stage, to actually do what we were born to do what I was born to do, I can't even begin to tell you how precious and reaffirming also that this is my calling in life. So regardless if I'm on an opera stage, a TV screen, or the Majestic stage, this is what I was born to do, and I'm finally back. So, and it's so precious that I hope that it doesn't go away, right? You know, as in like Omicron and all of this. So, but I know we have to be safe. But it's it extra reaffirmed what an honor it is to do this. Our jobs are such hard work. I don't know if everyone realizes that. You know, I understand too that 0.0001% get to do what we're doing, but it's a lot. It's very difficult. It's a beautiful sacrifice to be able to do this in this lifetime. So it's to be back on stage is home. I feel home again.
Well, you bring magic. You do what you do to heal people. I mean, it's so great. I wish you can't come right out of the stage door, but I wish you could walk around the theater district and see how much joy is back on Broadway again, of watching the people go to the theater and line up and watch them come out when the doors all open. They swing open the Majestic Theater or any of the other theaters, and people walk out with the playbill, and everyone is so happy. That's the best thing. It's so great to catch up with you again. And for a really wonderful time. If you haven't seen Phantom, or if you've seen it, it's time to revisit Phantom of the Opera again to see this one as Christine. And of course, Ben and John.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Beautiful.